Find the page in your note packet that looks like this. If you need to practice angle relationships because you're doing a retake, you have some practice problems here that you could work on. Our math goal for this video and for today is I can find area and perimeter. This video is going to help you fill in the table that looks like this. So these will be the formulas that you need for this unit or this section of the unit. And this information is also going to go in your toolkit. When we're doing our shapes, if we're doing area, we are talking about the inside space. So all of the space on the inside of the shape would be the area. So the stuff colored in gray on all of these pictures is the area. When we do area, we do units squared. So I'm going to say for area, we are going to use units squared. We will practice that later. And when we do perimeter, we do plain units, no squareds. You are going to be graded on your units in this section, so please make sure that you practice using your units. It is part of your answer. When we see a rectangle, or also a square, I know this one is a square because it has 90 degrees in the corner and also because all four sides have the same tick mark. So when I see a rectangle or a square, I can use the same formula, and that formula is going to be area equals base times height. So for this one, I'll show you what all the words or all the letters mean, but for the other ones, you'll have to know what the letters stand for. So the capital A stands for area, B stands for base, that little dot in the middle means times, and then the H stands for height. So area equals base times height. The other important thing you need to know is that the base and the height always have to make a 90-degree angle. So when I look at this rectangle, if I highlight the base and I highlight the height, in between those two highlighter marks, I have a 90-degree angle. And that's how, especially when the problems get trickier, I can find the base and the height. Same thing in the square, right? The base could be right here. The height could be right here. And when I look in between those two parts, I see a 90-degree angle. All right, then the area of a parallelogram. So that was for a rectangle or a square. For a parallelogram, we have a picture over here of a parallelogram. A parallelogram has to have two sets of parallel. So I have one set of parallel with my two arrows. I have one set of parallel with one arrow. So I always think about it as a rectangle that kind of got squished to the side. The formula is the same. A equals B times H. And then when I'm looking at my base and my height, right, this part is a base. And then my height for a parallelogram is not one of like the slanted sides. So in this case, the height is on the inside of the parallelogram. We could have also parallelograms where the height is on the outside, but it can't be one of the slanted sides. So I'm looking at my base and my height, I'm finding my 90-degree angle, and that's how I know it's the base and the height. Next one is a triangle. The sentence says that the area of a triangle is 1/2 the product of a base and its corresponding height, right? That sounds super complicated, but I like to do it a little bit different. So it starts off the same as our other ones, base times height, but then when it's a triangle, I have to do an extra step. I have to divide by 2. So base times height divided by 2. Now the rules are the same. The base and the height have to make 90. So if I highlight my base right here, then if these side numbers, sorry, my paper is slipping. If I highlight these side numbers, they don't make a 90-degree angle, so I can't use those as the height. In this one, my height goes inside of the triangle. I could also have situations where my height would be outside. But the important thing is I'm looking at my 90 degrees, my base is touching my 90, and so is the height. So it's important that you have a 90-degree angle there. Okay, then the last shape that you need to know right now is a trapezoid. A trapezoid, first of all, to know it's a trapezoid, we have to have one set of parallel. On a parallelogram, we had 2 sets of parallel. On this one, we just need 1 set of parallel. And the 2 lines that are parallel are automatically going to be called the bases. So the formula for a trapezoid, it's a long one. It looks like this, parentheses, B1, and in this picture they put B1 on the top, plus B2, and then I close my parentheses. The parentheses are going to be important. If you don't put the parentheses in your calculator, you will get a different number. So parentheses, base 1, plus base 2, remember there are 2 bases, the 2 parallel ones are the bases, times, so I'm going to put a dot for my times, H we know stands for height, and then I have to take all of that and divide it by 2. So in this case, when I'm highlighting my bases, oops, I should use pink. When I'm highlighting my bases, I could highlight either or I could highlight both of them, right? So the ones that are parallel are the bases. And then my height, again, this time it's inside of the shape. Sometimes I could have it outside of the shape or somewhere else. But the important thing here is that I do have to make 90 degrees. And any of those, when I'm doing area, once I get my answer, I would have to put units squared on my answer. Last one is perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a shape. So it's the distance around a shape. That's what it is. And to get it, I'm just putting a semicolon to separate my idea here. In order to get the answer for perimeter, I could say add all the sides. So when I'm doing perimeter, I don't necessarily care about the base and the height, right? I'm just going to add all the sides. So these are the formulas. If you need help with any of them, make sure you ask. Otherwise, we're on to the next video where we practice using our formulas.